All right, welcome back. This is Entertainment Thursday right here on Good Morning Kenya, and you are right in time for a very interesting conversation, for a conversation that we should have as an industry, and that is the music business. You just don't do music to entertain people unless that's all you want to do. I mean, you need to get some money into your pocket. And joining me for this particular conversation, where we'll be talking about all things money and how, nisichache sana ikawa tunaongelea tu pesa, but we're going to look at the business side of music and how to ensure that at least your music is bringing something into your pocket. And joining me is Ephantus Safari, and Ephantus Safari is the founding director of Safari Records, which is a recording studio and label. And he is also an author, a producer, an entrepreneur, and a music content distributor. Ephantus, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah, I love the writing on your hoodie.
It's actually a scripture. First Peter chapter 10 verses, chapter 5 verses 10. That talks about after some time you'll be strengthened and you'll be settled.
Okay,
yeah.
Strengthened and settled.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
For someone who, I know I have mentioned some things that you do, so for someone who's actually seeing you for the very first time,
yes,
how would you like rather for them to know Ephantus?
Okay. The introduction was good. Ephantus is I'm first a musician. I've done music.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
Yes. Two, I'm an entrepreneur. I've done a recording label for artists to support them, and also I also do mentorship in terms of promoting and selling content. I'm also a record label, a distributor. Like I also give Skiza codes. I also do digital distribution. I have a company that does that. And also events organizer. All these things, you know, like it's out of passion. Also, you forgot to say I'm an immediate chair of Performance Rights Society of Kenya, collecting royalties and distributing.
Sasa nyinyi ndo tunafaa tuwa.
Wow, Sasa, because I'm immediate former. You
are a former, but you were still there.
Easy.
But anyway, I would love to know where your love for music began, because now, from the introduction, someone can tell that you are a jack of all trades in the entertainment scene.
Yes.
So where did your love for the industry come in?
Okay, I grew up loving music as a young boy in high school, in primary school, in high school. I was those kind of people who are in the were doing folk dance and all that. But then when I was growing up in a certain church, there was a lady who was doing music in a nice way, late Angela Chibalonza. And from there I loved music. Immediately I started a dancing group. Ilikuwa inaitwa YRC Dancers. And then I started interacting with various artists in Kenya. That's back 2005. And from that period, I got that love for music. I realized that music, it's beyond singing.
Yeah.
It's an investment, because it's from production. After production, there is marketing. Then from marketing, there's promotion. Now, of course, when you do that, you should have, you should expect return on investment. Then I saw music in a different way. I decided not to study. I did basic law, IP basic law. I understand what is intellectual property in length and how an artist can benefit out of their works. So I think the love is after knowing that after studio, there's something else, and then I should also get money. You know, money is motivation. If you know you're getting money out of something, you'll do it with more strength.
Exactly.
So I think my motivation and my inspiration is that I worked with other big artists. I worked for Ben Gidhae. I worked also. I worked partly for Angela Chibalonza the last days before she was involved in an accident. I've worked with Jane Muthoni. I worked with so many artists back then. In 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. Then 2010, now I did my first song. Niona hapa kuna do. Wacha hata mimi nifanye ngoma pia nipate hizo chapa. Then I started now. I realized that artists are struggling. Artists are suffering. Msi atatoa ngoma ni hit song, lakini bado ana struggle. So I decided now to research how can artists here in Kenya benefit out of their works.
Yeah.
So from there, I became an activist. and I started fighting for the rights of musicians. Through the journey, na tukapigana kidogo, I got to Performers Right Society of Kenya, where for my first 3 years where I worked there, I'm the only chairman in Kenya who distributed 4 times in a year. Nobody else has ever done that, even at the CMOs. Yeah. So you see the kajani is...
It's quite, you know, long. But I want us to go back to where you mentioned intellectual property.
Yes.
Do you feel like artists in Kenya really understand what intellectual property is? And do you feel like they really take care of, you know, they make sure that legally their work is secured?
You see, the problem is, like the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. An artist will just go to the studio because he or she can sing, not knowing what comes behind it. And that's why now, that's why I think I talked about mentorship, that we let artists know your song is equivalent to another person's logbook, a title deed, because it's a property. It's something that can be used to bring revenue to your life. So most of the artists don't know that. But those maybe who gets into the labels or maybe gets into the management, they are able now to understand music in a different angle. And now they start taking their work seriously. But most of them, and especially gospel artists, they don't see the return out of their, and don't even expect. And that's why music here in Kenya, people are being exploited. Just wengi wajui. We are just doing music because I'm talented, maybe I have money to go to the studio, I love music. But I wish we can all get to a point where we know that music is business, music is a property, and it should be protected the way I would protect my logbook or my title deed. Yeah.
So where are we going wrong as Kenyans? And by Kenyans, I mean Kenyans in the entertainment industry. Because when we look at things, how things are run outside, you know, the likes of Bob Marley, the family is still collecting revenue. Yes. You know, someone like Michael Jackson, just the other day, we saw that the family got around, I don't know how many billion dollars, you know. So where are we going wrong in that in Kenya, we don't think there is an artist who after they have passed on, their family will still gain from it, because even as it is right now, them themselves are not really gaining as much from their music.
The issue is also the lack of understanding legally. Like now, copyright, the music has 3 rights. The right of a copyright, the right of a performer, the right of a producer. The right of a copyright is supposed to extend 50 years after you are dead. So, what does that mean? It means once I die, the next 50 years, the collective management organizations or whoever should be able to pay royalties for that music. But now, and even now, the Copyright Act here in Kenya, it's okay, but the problem is now people don't even follow once you are dead. Even maybe maybe even those who are managing those companies, they will not follow maybe to make sure they declare, they pay the returns to the rightful holders. But the truth is supposed to be 50 years after you are dead. So after that, now the song becomes now free, it can be used by anybody. So 50 years when you're dead, the music can be used by anyone, doesn't belong to you.
After 50 years.
Yes, after you're dead.
I want us to get into the Performers Right Society of Kenya. I know you're no longer there, and maybe you wouldn't want to get much into it. But as a former, you know, as a former member of this society, we see Kenyans complaining all the time.
Yes.
Even the artists themselves, you know, they keep complaining that they are not getting whatever is meant for them.
Yes.
They're just being given out peanuts.
Sure.
So, shida iko wapi? I know you mentioned you've distributed 4 times in a year, and you are the only chairperson who did that.
Yes.
Kudos to you on that. But still, like, where is the problem? And why is it that the artists are genuinely not making money? But I don't think they are not making money.
What we should be saying, Vivian, is how many avenues, royalty avenues that artists should benefit from. Actually, now we're talking about PRISC, MCSK, CAMP. That's only one, which is collective management organizations. And because we've asked about PRISC, I'll tell you why. There is not enough money to the artist. One thing is, one, collection, the government should work hand in hand with the CMOs. There should be an engagement. They should engage one another. How? You cannot collect without the support of the government. Now, there's an issue. Number one comes in, for example, it comes to us, broadcasters. Broadcasters, do they pay the license? Very few. Who should enforce that? Communication Authority. Do they enforce? The answer could be
yes or no.
Sawa sawa. Now, some pays, some don't. Now, we go now to Mama Yule Kona Kinyozi. Without the police enforcement, do you think people will just wake up and pay for the license?
Of course not.
So now, there is low collections. Per year, you realize the CMOs maybe would collect maybe 100 million. 100 million distributed among the 3 CMOs, the producer, the performer, and the copyright. Now, you realize one CMO, for example, Prisk, maybe you'll get like 10 million. 10 million, you have staff who are working secretariat. You have rents for offices. And then you're left with very little to now distribute to members. Now, that's what I'm saying. The problems goes back there. Those who are in the CMOs should sit down with the government and agree a way out, instead of, like now I'm seeing a lot of noise in social media. The government side has said they're not Kenya Corporate Board, who is the regulator.
Yeah.
We go to the CMO, they have said it. It's the high time they sat down, because Farueli wakipigana ni ataumia ni sisi wasanii. They sit and agree. Where is the problem? Like you have asked me. We say the problem is low collections. How can we do this? We need enforcement. We need to sensitize the members of public, because go to a shop today, tell them to pay for the royalty. TV ni yangu, mimi ndiye nilinunua. Shop ni yangu. Mbona nilipia muziki nacheza hapo?
They don't understand.
They don't understand.
Sensitization
needs
should
to be done. Yes. Once it's done, then to be so easy for people to pay for that license. And again, now when it comes to the CMOs, si ati ni wazuri, pia wao wakuwe honest enough to distribute according to the law. The law says distribute 70% and use 30% for the okay, for the management and all that. Sawa sawa.
Yeah.
So this 70%, today if you go and check the way collections are done, maybe whatever goes to the musician is maybe 20%. 80% are used in collection by the management. So the CMOs, they also need to come to realization that this is not our money. Idosi yetu ni hawa wasanii. They are struggling, they are crying. Kuna mama ako huko Nyeri, ako huko Bungoma, anajua tu job yake ni muziki, na hana kitu ingine. That's one. About CMOs. Two, Skiza. Skiza is another avenue ya msanii kupata do.
Pesa, yeah.
And I want to say, I'm grateful even to Safaricom, because they're the owners of Skiza. Because Skiza is the only avenue that pays on monthly basis. Now it goes to the artist. You have to market your work. Usitoe ngoma alafu kae tu hivi eti ngoja utapata do. You have to make sure market song yako, hiyo Skiza iende, then you get your money. But there's a problem.
Yeah.
In between the musician and the Safaricom, who are the owners, there's a broker here. They're called content service providers. Now, according to the Parliament Amendment Act for Royalties that happened in 2020 by Gladys Wanga, they, before Safaricom used to pay, I think, 21%, but went up to around 44%, then Safaricom remains with 56%. But now since this 44% comes to musician, then again, it is divided again between now you, the musician, and the CSP. So by the time an artist is getting money, it's very little, not even in, you know. So if the government can work in a way that the CSP ziondolewe hapo katikati, because mimi nawitanga broker, then tubaki mimi nikitoa ngoma ni Safaricom. Safaricom wananilipa direct. That would be nice. And also, of course, Safaricom to check and realize this way that giving artists 44% is still a bit little. I mean, nisiri mwenye mziki, they can take 30%, or they give us 70%. And another one is digital streaming stores. They are also one way of making money. Yeah. If artists can utilize that one also, it's another chance of making money out of your music.
You know, it's very unfortunate when we see our artists struggling. You know, unasikia sijui nani, like someone is a very good producer. You know, he's been making some of the biggest hits we have in the country. And unasikia ati ako place enye he can't even afford to pay rent. Yeah. He can't even afford to do, you know, just the bare minimum. You know, it's so unfortunate when we get to such a point. And I'm maybe wondering, aside from the ones that you've mentioned, you know, the CMOs, where they can get their revenues from, where else, how else can they make money? How else can producers make money? How else can artists make money, you know?
Besides the three, there is events. Events organizers appreciate musicians. Churches. Usipetu, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a musician, I think last week. It's unfortunate he's in I went to see him in prison. And when I was talking to him, because somebody I've been managing before he went to prison, I asked him, but where did the disconnect come from the time you used to minister in church before? Because kuna wakati alikuwa anaongoza praise and worship in church, and now came kwa na hiyo gap then now when we met, now you came to gospel. And he told me, you know what bro, manzi church nilikuwa na imba, lakini ukitoka hapo hakuna hata kitu napewa. And I felt the disappointment he has. You know, if all of us can appreciate the fact that music is business, can appreciate that music is a talent that they should be able to get something out of it, then it is easy also to encourage these people to do music and not to earn something out of it. Yeah. So I'm thinking everybody, all of us, we need to understand that music is a property, and anytime you are using or you're having a musician, make sure they are getting something after their work. Is it to perform? Is it maybe at appearance? Make sure umempatia kitu so that our artists don't continue the way we are suffering. By the way, wasanii wana suffer. Tunaumia. Tunaumia, unapata uko na ngoma big, uko na hit song, but you have nothing that you can talk about. Then also the government ingilie kati. It makes sure all those avenues of making money zote pesa inafikia msanii vile inafaa. Because there is money. I always say music is a multi-billion industry, but that multi-billion industry, the owners are struggling. Yes.
And it's unfortunate. It's also unfortunate that I'm being asked to wind up on the interview, because I feel like, you know, there's a lot to talk about. But before I get to wind up, I needed to know, what makes a song a hit song? Is it the writing? Is it how well you distribute your music? Is it what goes in? Is it the sound? Is it how the producer made this song? Like, is it just luck?
I would say luck, but I would say it's by the favor of God. Because many times you realize kuna song imefanywa poa na haijafanya fiti, and you realize kuna songs ziko hapa Kenya ina hit, hiyo song surely unashinda hata mpaka production, maybe it's not really quality. But I encourage artists, do quality content. Make sure your quality content is quality. Make sure your music is up to standard. Usimbe vitu chafu, and people appreciate what you are doing, because who will put skills a song in a matusi? So if you want to make money out of your music, then sing things that resonate well with the audience, some of your target audience. Yeah.
Hapo hivyo, I think, okay, producer ataniallow, actually amenisikia, and amesema if it's possible, you come back a Thursday, next week but one? Yeah, next week but one on Thursday.
Yes.
And then we continue with this conversation, and then we involve other people so that we can talk about this. Because pia, hapo hivyo vile unasema story ya, you do content that is clean. You know, it is arguable because sometimes we see ngoma ambazo see that clean are the ones that move faster, but I don't know if they're making money really from it. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that maybe some other time. But before I let you go, I know that you have an event coming up.
Oh, yeah.
There's a launch you'll be having. If you can just tell people about that and the dates.
I'm launching my Safari Records label. It's been 5 years, but now I want to put it officially, and also want to launch a worship ministry that guys will be coming and just do live music on 10th of March from 1 p.m. at GCI Thika Road. GCI Thika Road is just behind Spar Mall, Thika Road Superhighway exit 13. That's where we are located, and we'll be having so many artists. Like, we have invited almost 80% of musicians in this country, and everybody's welcome. It is free. So it will be a day just to enjoy, and of course we'll be releasing some new artists whom we are signing for the next 5 years. The first lot is done. We had artists to sign for 5 years, and 5 years is over. So we also want to start another 5 years with a new artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I hope that they're going to show up and turn up and enjoy some good music. Thank you so much, Ephantus, for coming on the show. And for sure, we're going to have you back, and we have this conversation in length when we have a bit more time.
Sure.
All right now we take a short musical break. Don't you go too far. When we come back, we have a lot more interviews lined up for you. We have, we'll be talking about the Kenya Theatre Awards that are actually happening today. today. And then we'll also have magicians in studio. You definitely want to stay tuned for that.